Oh, fantastic. All right, recording in 3, 2.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. You know, we don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with the religious people taking over the world, I mean, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith in unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from beautiful BC and Calgary, Alberta. This is Left of the Valley 2.0. My name is Kevin, and I was born a male. I identify as a male, but according to Storkers, I'm a family of 4. Joining me as usual is the lovely Christine. Hi, Christine. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
Great. I hope you had a great week.
I did. Yeah. I'm not in Calgary, so that's
yeah,
a
well,
good thing. Yeah.
You're just traveling all over the place right now.
Yeah.
We don't
Back and forth.
We don't need to. So today we have a great couple of guests, and we're very happy to have them. We have Aubrey and Kathleen from a Christian and an Atheist podcast. Ladies, Jesus Christ, what just happened?
Woo! Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. We're happy to be on your show.
Oh my God, I'm having technical difficulties right from the start. This is great.
I didn't know if you were doing that on purpose or not. I was like,
oh,
applause.
You know what? We're all kinds of professionalisms here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Ladies, welcome to the show. It's really great to have you guys on board here. We're going to be discussing your podcast and all that, and what would you guys do in the show. But first, let's try to get to know you a bit better. So Who wants to go first? Give me a quick bio as to who Kathleen and Aubrey are.
Do you want to go first? Sure. So, hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm the Christian. I grew up in church my whole life, but my parents, I come from a blended family, so there's all kinds of chaos behind that. So they kind of would just drop me off at church, whereas Kathleen grew up in church and she was there with her family, and they basically read the Bible front to back every day. We lived there. I didn't grow up that way, and I currently go to a non-denominational church called Life.Church. It's not Life. Anyways. And so my Christianity is a little more fluffy and a little less fire and brimstone. And I'm also a really chill person. Whereas if someone says, hey, I don't believe this, I'm not like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Where my Southern Baptist grandmother would be like, you're going to hell. And so I kind of soften the blow and just be like, hey, have at it. You do you, because I don't have a say in any of this. And so I have 3 children, and I've been married for ever. I don't even know how long. That's how long it's been. And we live in Oklahoma, and I'm just one of the weirdest people you'll ever meet. Super high energy. Have a good time. I'm all about the good times.
You're on the perfect show if you're one weird person at this point.
Sweet. I'm so glad.
I love the idea of using the word fluffy Christianity. I think that's one of my favorite things now. Fluffy Christianity.
So it's basically, to explain it, it could be called, if you want to be a little more professional about it, a progressive Christian. Where I don't adopt I don't carry all of the things that comes with Christianity, and I'm not afraid to say that. So as far as things that I do believe in Jesus, and I do believe, I go by the teachings of Jesus Christ. And then my place in this earth is to love in that way. And so I don't like a lot of the Old Testament. I don't like a lot of the gross stuff that the Bible brings. I'm sorry, Jesus, if that's upsetting. No, I feel like Jesus and I are good. So
yeah, but that's the original 1.0 version. Then Jesus came and they got the Bible 2.0, right? I mean,
there you go. Yeah, some of this stuff, I'm like, what? Calm down. And people taking it literal, I'm like, take a deep breath. We'll be all right. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell, literally.
Yeah. Good. Let's move on. And your partner.
Okay.
So I'm Kathleen. I'm obviously the atheist. I grew up Mormon. My parents and my siblings and all of us, we like super Mormon. I was there every Sunday, every Wednesday. I went to early morning seminary 5 days a week. I went to BYU, super Mormon, did it all. And after becoming an adult and getting married, my husband and I started kind of taking a good hard look at what do we actually believe and what have we just been doing because it's what we've always been doing. And a lot of the things that are problematic within the Mormon church, specifically, you know, the way the church handles situations with minority groups and marginalized peoples, and specifically people of color, women, the LGBTQ plus communities, that sort of thing was really not something that we could be okay with. And so we started taking step backs from the religion, and that led us completely out of religion completely. So we are both atheists raising kids in a conservative, very Christian area. So, but yeah, it's kind of, it's an interesting dichotomy of growing up super religious and studying scripture and studying the Bible. And obviously that was through a very Mormon lens. So it's a little different than what a lot of people are used to. But I did read the Bible. I did read it multiple times. I have half of it memorized still, you know.
My condolences.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Christina,
So many hours wasted.
Christina, I don't know if you've noticed, but I gotta say, first of all, that these two ladies are absolutely adorable. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I
thanks.
get this
Yeah.
Fox and the Hound vibe from them, you know.
What did you? What vibe?
The Fox
Yeah.
and the Hound of Disney.
Oh, Fox and the Hound.
I love that movie so much. I love it about that.
Which one is this?
But we're not doing any kind of hunting. I do hunt, but I don't go after foxes.
I'm a city person. I don't even. My idea of hunting is like which shoes I've got to buy, you know. No.
We will get into the crux of what your show is, and I really
Okay.
love the idea that, you know, two quote unquote supposed enemies are doing a show together, and I love this.
Yeah.
But first, I gotta ask, Aubrey. Let's ask Aubrey first. Since you grew up as a Christian, you didn't have a lot of changes, but you said you came from a fairly strict background and became a fluffy Christian. What did that feel like to you?
It was a lot of like tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing what the Bible says. I'm hearing what imperfect Christians, I like to call them that because that's a nice way to say it, which would be like hypocritical people telling me how I can't hang out with certain types of people or be worldly. And to me, I started realizing you do need to be careful with how you live. Don't be an a-hole and like, you know, I don't know examples of being an a-hole, just like being a decent human being is like the core of my belief system. And I'm seeing that this is what the Bible is saying. And I believe this, but I'm also like, I can't close my eyes to what the world is, what's going on in the world outside of Christianity.
Yeah, that's
And
very
I can't, yeah. And it's like, we can't just close off different religions as well and say, because this is the one religion, all these don't get to be looked at. And so it's just really important to me to see, like, I 100% believe God created the earth and everything in it. So I'm going to fully seek out all of God's creation in a really smart way because, like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I should limit myself. And I don't think God wants me to. So as long as I keep strong in that faith and don't push God away in the situation, which strangely enough, I haven't had the ability to. So I've tried. I'm like, you know, I don't know about you right now, but it didn't work out. So me and God are still tight. So no, it's just something that I need in my life. I don't need religion. I practice religion, but I pick what I get to practice. And my hope is to be an example to others out there that are like me, saying, hey, we can be allies to the LGBTQ plus community and accept them for who they are and stop shaming them, and because God created them that way, and then also like not adopt the conservative lifestyle, I guess you could call it, of shaming women if they get divorced or get pregnant outside of wedlock. Like, come on, guys, there are worse things going on in this world than going to the barber shop and getting your hair done and talking crap about the teen mom down the street. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. It's been an interesting tug of war to get to where I am now, because I did struggle when I met Kathleen. She and I are such fun personalities together, and I adore everything about her. And it was hard to be like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to like her.
No, that's right. That's right.
And
She's
why? Yeah, like she's doing everything that I'm not supposed to be in community with. I'm not like it says, like, if you're in community with people that are doing worldly things or not believing in God, it's a bad influence on yourself, and then you're going to turn out to be that way. And so I was like, I got to be careful with who's influencing my life. And then I just was like, God, what the heck? This is another person that you put in my life, and now I'm like supposed to not have conversations with her. And so I just felt like, in my opinion, the way God was like, no, that's not how this works. So I just kept talking to her, and I didn't ever once feel guilty about it. I just kept having in the back of my head all this wild biblical beliefs in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna reject this and see what happens. Let's start a podcast.
Well, probably I will promise you, even though you're outnumbered 3-1 here, I promise we won't gang up on you.
Oh, if you did, I would be okay.
I won't let you.
Friendly fire. That's all.
I don't believe atheists are gonna come for me and like burn me at the stake, because it's not even y'all's belief system. So
I told her the plan. Who? Christine, I'm looking at you. Did you tell her this?
Have you ever seen that atheist agenda thing? Right? You know.
Yeah.
No. I actually. It's funny because if you look at a lot of atheists, they're more Christ-like than Christians most of the time, because they're not over here putting judgment on people. So no, it's fine. I feel fine being on the show. I was so excited when we contacted each other to do this. Yeah. So I feel good. We're
okay,
good.
So Kathleen, it's your turn. So you can remove your hair, and so we can see the horns here, right? Because
I have them shaved down. It's like a cosmetic thing to mess with my makeup. It's not.
You came from a Christian background, so you went through a moment of apostasy. What was that? What was your apostasy like?
It was sort of a long time coming. It wasn't necessarily a one thing that I woke up and said, oh, none of this is real. Growing up in Mormonism, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Mormonism. It's a very much designed for middle-class white men only.
Oh, yes.
And so, as a woman, that obviously I was on the lower tier. And I felt that growing up. I felt it hard, and I did not like it. My family, my immediate family, my mom, my sisters, and I have no brothers. We were a very feminist leaning household. Even as Mormons, my mom was sort of like Aubrey in the way that there would sometimes be things we'd come home from church and we'd say, oh, today we learned X, Y, and Z in Sunday school. And she'd say, no, that's false. That's incorrect. Don't think that way. Don't plan your life that way. No. And she sort of instilled in my sisters and I this ideology that as women, we were just as powerful and just as intelligent as men. And we had just as much opportunity for growth as our counterpart boys in Sunday school did, which was not taught at church. And so I always had a bit of a foundation inside of my spirituality of some things aren't quite right, but I just put them in the back of my head because that's what you're supposed to do. And so as time went on, more things in Mormonism and ex-Mormon communities, we have an analogy of a bookshelf. You have a shelf hanging on the wall, and it's not a super sturdy shelf to begin with, but as you start piling heavy books and heavy objects on that shelf, eventually the shelf just breaks in half and everything clatters to the floor. And so each one of those situations, the fact that I was a woman in a male-dominated space was another book on the shelf. And there were multiple instances growing up and as I became an adult where I felt that the church and the society around me of Mormons and Christians, mostly Mormon Christians, because that's what I knew, but Christianity in general and religion in general, of moments of hypocrisy or moments of downright hurtfulness to others who were, the other. So people who didn't fit within the mold of what we want our congregation to be, those people don't matter and those people aren't human. And that was really difficult for me. And those were just more things shoved up on that shelf. And in 2015, the Mormon Church came out with a policy that, because the Mormons they're not, the actual church itself is not a very affirming church. They don't support gay rights. And they came out with a policy that members of the church who are children of gay parents are not allowed to be baptized or have basically soul-saving ordinances, things that Mormons believe will save you and take you to heaven. They're not allowed to do it because their parents happen to be gay. And that was something that I couldn't sit well with. That, wasn't it Jesus who said, suffer the little children to come unto me? And here we are as a faith saying, never mind. And so that, for my husband and I, we had already been sort of reevaluating our faith and trying to kind of figure everything out. And that moment we both were like, we're done. We're completely out of here. We're not doing this anymore. And that was the moment my shelf just done. So.
Well, congratulations, I guess. Although I guess it's something about Mormonism. I kind of like their idea of heaven. I like the idea of having my own planet. That's kind of cool.
It sounds exhausting.
maybe, but it's a bit better than sitting on a cloud with a harp.
Probably. Yeah,
Mr. Deity coined the term foreman, former Mormon, right?
Mormon. That's great.
Yeah.
That's funny. So let's get into the idea that Kathleen and Aubrey got together at some point, and let's talk about the genesis of your podcast. How did that start?
Well, it started with our kids, strangely enough. So her mother-in-law lives down the street from me, and she has 3 daughters, and they kind of are around the same age as my 3 kids. And so when they would go visit grandma, they would be in my neighborhood, and my kids are outside. They're seeing kids. They ended up getting together, and they have been friends. They were friends 2 years before she and I became friends.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were avoiding each other. It just didn't seem to work out. I'd see her at Target a few times and be like, oh, because I'd see the kids with her and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I know the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd see this woman with black hair and I'd be like, golly, she's so pretty. And she's intimidating. Hi. And so, and I'm like, she probably is like, oh my God, the Christian neighbor. And so
it's like, wait, I'm supposed to know her name and I don't know her name, and shouldn't I know her name because she like hangs out with my kids all the time?
And so it started with the kids. And then one time she was in my backyard and I met with her a little bit there. And I felt like it just wasn't, it didn't feel like it was time yet. I know that sounds really weird. And then one day, out of the blue, we meet at the neighborhood pool and we see each other, and I just sat next to them because I know her mother-in-law is my friend, and I've heard lots of stories about them leaving the church and then just things about the Mormon church.
My mother-in-law is still very active Mormon.
Yes.
And us leaving the church was very difficult for her and caused a lot of stress and depression and really so hard things in her life, unfortunately.
It would be devastating. I get it. I get both sides, and I respect so much you're leaving and then her being like, oh gosh, because it's like you really are trained to be like, well, it doesn't look good on their side. No. But anyways,
when you leave the Mormon church, you're essentially committing social suicide.
I was going to say, aren't you supposed to be shunned?
No, right? So Mormons don't do. I think it is a very common thought that people think that is taught in Mormonism. It's not explicitly taught per se. It's sort of an around the back sort of situation. They are taught by church leaders that if your family members or friends leave the church, bad things will happen to them. And it was taught to my family when my husband and I, and subsequently our children, bowed out of Mormonism. It was taught to our family members and our friends that we would be divorced drug addicts, when our children would be on the street, and all of these horrible things would happen. And when that didn't, the only thing that happened was I got a nose ring. Like, that's the only thing that changed in our lives, really. Like,
well, there's the mark of Satan. I've seen whatever.
Yeah. And so that for a few years there was a lot of fear around us and our kids, specifically the girls. Our kids were our parents and our family were really afraid of what's going to happen to these kids, and nothing did. So
I got to experience seeing the mother-in-law kind of go through the ending of that. So the beginnings, I didn't see that, but as she finally was like, she was like, oh dear. And now she's like, okay, I have respect for this, I think, and I can deal with it. So I see them at the pool, and I was like, her and her husband, and I was like, okay, tell me everything about leaving the church. Like, what the heck? Who in their right mind leaves Christianity?
How much time do you have?
Because I had never talked to an atheist about leaving church. And I was just, first of all, Mormonism is so freaking weird. And the things that I've heard, and I'm like, tell me what this means, because I'm getting a Mormon's perspective and I want to know someone who left. Mm-hmm. And so they word vomited all over me about all the things.
She caught us on a day where we were like, okay,
let me tell you everything. And they're like, bah! And so
that's awesome.
So we got all the things told to me, and I just we bonded in that moment, because one, we approached each other with respect.
Yeah.
I've never been disrespected by either one of them.
And you've never been disrespectful towards me.
And there's no reason to be.
Yeah.
And so weeks and weeks later, so it started in the beginning of summer, and towards the middle of summer, I was like, wouldn't it be fun to do a podcast called The Christian and the Atheist? How many minds can we blow? Like, because I genuinely appreciate her as a person, and I feel like it's reciprocated. Mm-hmm. And we're are you guys in the United States? I'm pretty sure you're not.
Canada.
No, we're Canada.
Yeah. So
Calgary,
the United States is having some issues, okay? And it's been nuts.
Oh my God.
And we're there watching it. And we're like, help,
let's
Canada,
be real.
help
the United States has only ever been having issues. We've never not been having issues.
Well, listen, okay. So it's just
That's
coming to light.
Yes.
That's
another podcast. By the way, before I forget, I do have Mormon family in Calgary, Alberta.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Crawfords. I don't know if you know. We don't have to put this in there.
It's in there.
Yeah, sure.
I know.
Like 20 people in Calgary. Everybody knows the Crawfords.
Yeah, sure. Who knows?
The few Mormons I know have been Jack Mormons. They drink
Jack Mormons? What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, they drink coffee. They believe they drink coffee. They do all the things they shouldn't do. They don't smoke and drink alcohol. You're not supposed to do that. I don't think they wear magic underwear and all those things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are Kathleen and Aubrey frozen, or
I
is
think they're
this
frozen.
just online? Okay. Yeah.
This is what happens when you do things live. All of a sudden they're frozen.
Oh,
I think they came back.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. I think they're back. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. You guys
Hello.
froze. Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Is that our break? Anyways, I'm just kidding. So no, I think after that trip to the pool and all that, we started hanging out more. Mm-hmm. We would have drinks on the back porch and let the kids play in the backyard. And a little loosened up me was like, I can do this. I can be friends with her, and we can do a podcast. And I've been a Christian. I've been a Christian my whole.
Let me tell you one thing.
Let me tell you how much I love you.
I love you, Kathleen. I love you.
I'm like not in love with you, no, but I love you.
That is fantastic. Let's take a quick pause, and when we come back, we'll have more of Aubrey and Kathleen, a Christian and an atheist. You be right back. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back with Aubrey and Kathleen, or Kathleen Aubrey, whichever way you want to spell it. Sounds great. a Christian and an atheist, a most adorable couple. Just drove me back to death already. So it's fantastic. So let's keep going with the more of the genesis of a Christian and atheist podcast and how you guys started all this. So as we left, Aubrey was highly intoxicated and
No.
holding her love to Kathleen, and then we just had this drunken idea of doing a podcast together.
Hey, no.
That's what I heard.
Podcast started anyway, right?
Listen, drunken, no, and a little. I had alcohol, but I wasn't. I was clear. I was so clear. No, I don't think I was drunk then. Like, I'm
Not
too.
that bad.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Anyway, so yeah, and so I think I kind of backtracked and then, but anyways, I was vacuuming. I know that sounds funny, and I just thought, let's. Would you like to do this? The Christian atheist. I text her. And immediately she's like, absolutely. And I was like, what? And so
I remember the text. You were kind of like, if you need time to think about it, that's okay. I was like, what? I don't care.
Yeah,
Sure.
let's do
Let's
this.
go.
And I'm like, you have time? It's a time thing.
I'm a very fly by the seat of your pants kind of person,
Same.
obviously.
Mhm.
So
Little did we know what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
But it's been a lovely journey. I didn't have anything equipment-wise. I don't know. I just know I was wanting to start a podcast, and my husband's like, what's stopping you? And I was like, I don't have the stuff. Then he bought the stuff, and I was like, oh shit, I better do this. And so then I came up with the Christian and the Atheist podcast. And then of course she was like, sure. And so we started recording in April of 2021. And then we dropped in October on my birthday of 2021. So we're about 6 months old of live putting stuff out. So we're babies, but it's been a beautiful journey of
really
ups and
has.
downs, but it's been
Yeah.
lovely. I live for it.
It has just begun. It has just
It
begun.
has just begun. Who knows where it's going to take us? Watch out, world.
It's very interesting to see. I gotta ask this of Aubrey because we talked. You talked about being a fluffy Christian, which I still love saying that now.
Okay.
And it's kind of interesting that your faith does not really look fondly upon collaborating.
No.
Satanic atheist and all that. So how when you meet more Christians in your family and your entourage and your church,
Yeah.
how do they view that? Do they view you as necessarily like somebody who's reaching across the aisle or somebody who's betraying the faith?
All of the above, and then also a little bit more. And I know that sounds really negative, but you have to remember who we're working with here.
Mhm.
So there are people out there that are told that atheists are a problem.
Mhm.
And so they're like, what are you doing? And so I'm like, I know, but calm down. It's okay. I promise. I was scared at first, but she's great. And we were kind of talking about how the United States has been kind of a crazy circus over here and very divisive.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to start the podcast was putting two divisive situations in a room and showing that it works and that we can come together and make this beautiful thing. And so with my Southern Baptist grandmother, we have a really cute video of her telling me that I have to stop talking to Kathleen if she doesn't convert after 4 times of talking to her because it's biblical. And I was like, excuse me?
Four
I didn't
times?
read that. Well, I
I
don't
think
remember that
some
part of the
arbitrary
Bible.
number that came out of nowhere, probably.
Literally. And so I was like, okay, Grandma, I promise. But 6 months she's not Christian, sorry. And so I get a lot of, but is she really atheist? And I'm like, are you really atheist?
I really am.
Another thing that's crazy that happened to us is we got in a really bad car accident and we both walked away after the car accident, and we should have not walked away.
We got hit by 2 semis going 70 miles an hour. And the fact that the only injuries we had was like minor concussion, bruising,
Seatbelt.
whiplash, was
Oh.
like crazy.
And so we get a lot of, does she believe in God now? And I'm like, no. And they're like, what do you mean she doesn't believe in God? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you there. I don't have control.
You hit by 2 semis. Was one protected by God and the other one protected by Satan? How does this work?
Yeah.
That's kind of
I don't want to say that. That sounds crazy.
But so my idea, people say it's like this story. There's, all these anecdotal stories of, a house burned down, but the only thing that was saved was the Bible. Isn't that a miracle? No, a miracle would be if the house didn't burn down.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's my thought. When people say when we have this video of a woman who was driving behind us who happened to have her phone out and caught the tail end of the accident on camera. When you watch this video, you look at it and you're like,
We should have died.
it's really bad. It's really scary and crazy. And so people see that video and think, it's a miracle. And I'm like, no, a miracle would be if I didn't crash, if I didn't have to replace my car and go to the doctor and get rid of a concussion and, completely upend our lives for a month. That would have been a miracle.
I guess we live in a miracle every day because we do just wake up, and so maybe people just aren't embracing the miracles, you know?
And I'm not trying to fault anybody for looking at life with that positive spin and looking for miracles, because I'm sure that's helpful to that, but it doesn't change my belief system in any way.
And so we see a lot of that.
It would have been nice if the semi had crashed into you, but transformed into a pile of feathers almost.
Yes. See, maybe then.
That would be a genuine miracle there. It's like, I don't think what happened. And steel just transform into feathers and the bubbles or whatever. It's like that's
But that would negatively affect the semi-truck driver. God doesn't work like that, you guys.
You would have to explain how he lost his cargo for sure, but nonetheless, that would convert me at this point. It's like, okay,
something like that,
praise the
maybe.
Lord here.
But even then, I feel like there's probably some kind of, even then I'll be like, let me take a look at the scientific evidence, because I feel like there's some way to explain this.
Crazy here.
Well, that's what I'm the definition of a miracle is it has to be outside of, what can be explained by nature empirically.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have a quick story, and you'll love this one, Kevin. I have a friend.
Get comfortable for this.
It's a short story. I have a friend, and she was going through what is it? When you come through BC, Alberta through BC, there's that what the heck? Anyway, she hit a bear on the highway in BC, and she was very upset because that was her spirit animal and the whole thing, right? And so it's really, really common to hit bears, and she's going on and on about this. And I said to her name was Christine too. Christine, it would be really bizarre if you'd hit a whale, but you hit a bear in BC through the mountains. Now that would be, weird, but hitting a bear is pretty common.
Well, it depends on the bear. Sometimes the bear hits you. Right?
It's like armadillos here; they're everywhere.
Yeah,
I bet they're cute.
They're so cute.
They're not. No, they're not. You're all horribly wrong. They're horrific little gangrenous monsters.
They're really cool. But to kind of go back to what you're talking about, the most pushback I get from Christians is when I'm promoting the show on Facebook. Like I said, we live in very conservative Bible Belt, Oklahoma, and I get more crap from people, and they're telling me that I'm not Christian and that I'm pushing or I'm leading people astray, and I'm literally like, you guys are so scared. Are you okay? Like, do you know, like, God is good and you're okay? Like, you're good. Like, calm down. And I'm not doing anything wrong.
It was a shock to me, that aspect. I definitely expected some pushback on my side of things. Again, as the minority belief system in a very outspoken area, I expected people to be like, "Ooh, atheist bad," but I did not get. It was a shock to me to see the amount of people coming after Aubrey and being like, crazy. God's real mad at you.
I'm like, okay. I don't know about that. I don't know how you can speak for God.
Yeah,
you need to calm down with that.
You guys are in Oklahoma, so you guys are going to have like somebody like Seth Andrews on your show one day, right?
Seth Andrews.
You don't know
familiar.
The Thinking Atheist podcast.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
So do y'all know who David Fitzgerald is?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh, he's going to be on our show, you guys. Yes, he's one of our friends. He's on our show.
He's a good friend. He's a great man.
He's so fun.
Who is he?
He's a great. You're not discussing mythicism with him, are you?
A little bit. We touch on it, but we don't get a huge.
No, yeah, we kind of do. He's writing all these books.
Yes.
we're gonna plug this guy. Go read his books, even though I'm Christian and he's not. And I'm sure he's got her husband has read up, and you have read some of his books, and they're just really great for the atheist community. But this is another example of me being a Christian. I'm like obsessed with him, and in the sense that he is just a really outstanding human being and an atheist. Oh my God! So it's like, calm down, people. It's gonna be okay. But, yeah. I'm sorry. I weirded out.
He also wrote the Time Chart trilogy with his wife Dana Frenzy, and we had him on the show as well for that series of books, and they're fantastic people. They are just fantastic.
Yes,
he's great. He has a series on that he touches on Mormonism as well.
Right.
That's the one that obviously my husband and I looked at.
Fantastic. I don't know about you, Christine, but I love these two already. I just love them already. We're going to do something very unusual here. Next week, we have Seth Andrews on the show.
Really?
And
well, tell him about us.
I think you two should come on the show, interview him with us.
That'd be so fun.
What day?
Next week. Next Sunday, same time, same bad channel.
Next Sunday. Okay.
Probably. I mean, I'm not going to church.
We'll talk about it after the show, because you guys are in Oklahoma, so you might as well talk to an atheist, a famous atheist out of Oklahoma. I think that'd be great.
That'd be so fun.
And you guys are so adorable already. It's like, oh, I just want to bring you in.
Well,
okay. So you guys had a little bit of pushback on the Christian side, not so much pushback on the atheist side. Do you feel that, Aubrey, I got to ask you this, do you feel that you're kind of leading by example, or you're kind of building a bridge between the two communities, which has, for the longest time, I've been kind of at war, I mean, a lot of atheists have been raised with the notion, and a lot of Christians are also raised with the notion that atheists are just bad baby eaters and just bad people. And now you are here podcasting with a friend who's almost a best friend, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're dispelling the myth that atheists are monsters.
Right.
You feel this is actually, you're leading some of your Christians brethren by example here, or do you think that this message is falling on deaf ears in your community?
Oh, no, it's definitely not falling on deaf ears. I think that a lot of the fear comes from an atheist influencing us to change our faith. And she and I have had the conversation, like, I'm not going to try to convert her, and she's agreeing she's not going to try to convert me. So we're never going to have a conversation where, like, she's come to church with me one time just to try it out, and I was like, listen, I'm not trying to make you go to church with me.
It was for the show.
It was literally for the show, and to just experience my church, so she knows what I'm talking about when I talk about it. So I think that we're coming into a place where the world's changing, and the church that I go to, I think, has kind of started to make a step away from the traditional type of church. Now, they're not affirming, which is a problem, I will agree with, but they are great for the generations that are coming up, in my opinion, to make a space for them, and to make a space, like, that we're in a more of a gray period, I feel like, versus the black and the white. And so I just want to be able to say, hey, I'm me, and this is who I am. And so when you're ready to catch up with me, I'm here to help show you what that looks like. And so, I think the bridge is a perfect example of what we are. And we also want to, like, give voices to other people that have been done wrong by the church, so that people can hear it and be like, oh, we should stop effing this up and get our lives together and loving like Jesus, because that's the point, right?
That's what Jesus would want, right?
I think so. From what I read.
Yeah. What the guy says anyway, right?
Right. Like, apparently, if you're reading the Bible and throwing it at me like you are, you should be getting the part where I'm doing something right here.
Yeah,
I'm loving my neighbor as myself.
Exactly. Love your neighbor. There you go.
Yeah.
We did a little bit about this a bit earlier. You guys are both in the United States, and here in Canada, we've been watching the U.S. for a long time.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. We're drowning.
The United States is in this very unique position of being probably one of the only countries in the world with a secular constitution. Yet you guys are essentially one step away from becoming a full-fledged theocracy.
Yeah,
As
all the time.
As compared to Canada, which actually does have a preamble to a God in our constitution, but
Oh.
we're much more secular. In 1987, the Supreme Court ruled that Canada would rule as a secular country, and we're nowhere near the kind of level of I don't want to say fanaticism, but the
No,
kind
that's
of
the right
stuff
word. It's correct.
the kind of stuff we experience in the States. As a Christian, as an atheist, when you look into the influence of Christianity, evangelical Christianity, into your politics, what are your thoughts? This is not the level of question we're expecting, right?
It's not great. The answer is that it's not helping anybody, at least on my viewpoint of things. Coming from, I guess it's a common thing that people ask me as an atheist who are Christian is when they learn that I am no longer a believing person, they say, "Oh, what's to stop you from, I'm sure you guys get the same line of questioning, but what's to stop you from breaking all these laws and hurting other people and all these things?" And there's a famous, I think it's Ricky Gervais. I think I've seen who is a very outspoken atheist. I've seen an interview with him where somebody asks him that question. He says, "I am raping and murdering as much as I want," which is none. I don't want to do that. Oh, okay.
You know what? I
It's
just want
not-
to step away. I want to step away when people say that because they scare
Yes.
me. If
Yes,
that's
it's-
all
it's-
that's making you behave is
Oh
you're
my
right.
gosh. And so there's
scares
that
the shit out of me,
ideology. Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
ideology that the only thing keeping us as a nation or as a political point or something from making correct steps or behaving in a way in our foreign policies that are beneficial to everybody is religion. That's bad. That's not a good thing. We should be doing that regardless of what we all believe, which I believe is what was intended from the beginning. But corrupt minds and and I'm no politician. This is not my area of expertise at all.
Same.
So, but I feel like the things that trickle through as a society that come from religion, and not just Christianity, religion in general, is a very dogmatic and us versus them point of view, in my opinion, and that's never a good thing at all, ever. So that's my
very understandable.
2 cents on it.
As a Christian, like she said, this is not our area of expertise, but I will say, and I don't know, I've kind of deconstructed quite a bit of my thinking as far as how Christianity should be in politics or should not be. I'm 100% separation of church and state. One, if we are the one religion, what if some other religion decides to jump in and has some wonky, crazy mindset of, okay, well, think of Afghanistan and how the women used to have so many rights and now they have to cover their faces and only their eyes can be seen and they're very suppressed. What if something like an extremist something comes along and tries to change our laws because it's their religious rights? So Christianity should not be allowed to do the same thing. And so like Jehovah's Witness do not believe in blood transfusions. I don't want that to negatively affect myself or my children. So separation of church and state are 100% necessary. And I don't think that someone who doesn't believe like me should be affected by something that like my religion is talking about, like women's rights as far as getting an abortion. I don't believe in getting an abortion. I would never choose that for myself. But I do not stand here in front of you guys today to tell women around the world that they're not allowed to make that decision for themselves. I am not you. I don't know what you're going through. And if you are sleeping around and getting pregnant and then having an abortion, that's between you and God, not you and me. And so it's
Aubrey, you're my favorite Christian now, Aubrey.
Thank you. Do you see why I'm still doing this podcast?
Fantastic, right? Isn't she fantastic?
But it is, I do feel like morally, like, please don't do that. Let me help you. Let me help you find ways to not get pregnant. You can sleep with whoever you want.
Do you know how we stop that happening as a nation is by providing sex education and resources
so
towards people, which we won't
yeah.
do because we're so full of Christianity that that's against the Bible. So we won't do it.
And like, this abstinence thing, who waited till they were married to have sex? Like, I mean, okay, sorry. Some people have, but the Christian over here, she didn't, and she tried. And I could have gotten pregnant. Yeah. And it's like, it's okay. Like, we're humans. We have these hormones, whatever. People need to calm down with not being realistic, not using science. God created science. Like, quit being so freaked out. It's okay. Sorry, I'm passionate about this.
You gotta fight.
She's a fighter, and I love her for that.
I'm ready. I'm ready to box.
Aubrey, I gotta ask you, as a Christian, if there's one thing Christianity has been good over the years, is the way they managed to adapt. I mean, there's a reason Christianity has been around for 2,000 years. They've been able to adapt and reinvent themselves into a newer version of, what Jesus was preaching anyway, to adapt to modern times. What do you feel Christianity or evangelical Christianity right now in the U.S. needs to do to adapt for the future?
Remember that the Bible is translated, and it can be mistranslated. I can say the word or a sentence like, that goat makes milk, and I'm turning it into cheese. And it can be translated so many different times that it's not even that same sentence. Mm-hmm. And so when you read that no man should lay with another man because that is a problem, where the hell did that come from? You know what I mean? So there's so many mistranslations that we need to calm down on saying this is the absolute word because it's in English. You need to go learn the language that it was originally written in and then read the Bible and tell me that is the word of God. Mm-hmm. But also remember that these humans have wrote this stuff. So I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people and they all suck at some point or make up lies. They're not perfect. Mm-hmm. Unless there's like a tablet out there with gold on it. Even then, I don't know if I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, that's a whole Mormon thing. It's not real.
Okay, never mind.
I got the inside info on that one. It's not real.
But I do believe that there is a God, there is a higher power, there is a deity out there. And I worship that. And I think that we can do this without putting restrictions on people. Because I think at the bottom line, we're just scared of people being really terrible. And so here's a Bible that says, don't do all this stuff. But when you're effing with other people's lives, you need to calm down. So, I just think that it's time to really look at the Bible as what it is and not be so focused on what it's saying exactly to every single word. Like, take the parts that are important, like how Jesus loved and stuff like that. There's so many beautiful stories, but they are stories. So let's talk to God about it and not read the Bible and start throwing stones at people, I don't know. There's a lot.
When they say when a man lies with another man, he should be stoned, I thought they meant he should be high.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that was kind of the thing going around when California legalized gay marriage and weed or something like that. Yeah, if a man lie with another man, they shall be stoned. Oh, that makes sense now.
They did it. Welcome, California. Exactly. They're living biblical times.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to get stoned and, yeah.
I just had an idea. We should be another version of the show, also called like a Christian, an atheist, and bring in a Muslim woman.
Yeah.
So we're not opposed to having different types of religions. Mm-hmm. And we're even looking to go to like different places of worship. Like, we're even open to attending a Satanist group's. Oh my God, I said it out loud. But listen, if you don't know what it is, then it sounds terrible. Mm-hmm. They don't even believe in Satan, okay?
No,
so it's all right.
No, they're just activating.
But I'm just excited to hear about. What do you mean you're going to a Satanist group? It's that they don't believe in Satan, guys. It's like a literal tongue-in-cheek thing. It's okay. So we're talking about. We do want to plug ourselves into getting with a Muslim mosque, attending their service, talking to the person that's over it. I don't know the terms, and I'm so sorry. If I did, I would say them. And then a Buddhist temple, a Satanist group, and whatever else we can get our hands on. Mm-hmm. We are in a small state, like a state that's not like it's a Christian state. Yeah, it's like, but we do live in. You hit a church.
Yeah, we do live in a fairly. We are in a suburb of a fairly larger city that does have a good amount of different denominations and religious presences. And so our hope, if we do go forward with this idea, is to visit all different types, both Christian and not, of religious places of worship, and just sort of get our take on them.
And it'll be, and we're so open to that.
Yeah.
With like loving arms.
Mm-hmm.
I love this because I've always been a big proponent of empowering women, and this show has always we've
Right.
always had strong female voices on this show, and I love the fact
That's
that
awesome.
there's not a lot of women podcasters. So I love seeing you two going at it, and I love seeing you two, being from different faith and backgrounds, and I just like I said, you guys, I love you guys already from the start.
Thanks.
But
Me too.
this brings an interesting point. As women, and this is weird that the guy's asking this question, but as women, how do you feel about the whole podcasting thing, and especially maybe you as well, Aubrey, because you're coming from a faith that has not particularly been kind to women. And even in the atheist world, a lot of people will say atheist, it's almost like a boys' club. So how does Kathleen feel about that? How do you ladies feel about all the issues surrounding these two different worldviews, I guess?
So in my just to like address the podcasting itself, when I first started listening to podcasting, I was listening to women, and it was true crime, which is very dominated by women, which I'm a big, huge, she hates it, but I'm like, yay, murder.
I am not that girl.
But I love true crime. And so I started listening to podcasts through women podcasters, specifically in this genre. And then that led me to other genres and that sort of thing. I do think in life, in podcasting as it is in life, a lot of times I think that I'm trying to say it in a way that is not offensive towards men, because I do like men. I think there's a lot of really great ones out there.
Are there?
But I do think that, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The most obnoxious, loud microphone is turned up the loudest. And so a lot of times it may seem that there are so many more men podcasters because they're the ones screaming, where I believe there are quite a few genres and places where there are a lot of women's voices to be heard, but we're drowned out. And so I think that is maybe, if you look at the actual numbers and stats, there may be more of this and more of that and whatever. But in general, I feel like women, our voices are becoming louder. As that happens, it's only beneficial towards everybody, because that, like our show shows, getting a different point of view is only helpful to grow as a person and to, benefit your own self and those around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that. Like, whereas, okay, so I'm gonna plug my church. I'm sorry. So my church that I go to actually has women pastors.
Oh.
Now, oh my gosh, crazy, right? So yay for them. And they are seeing that women are anointed by God to do the things men are doing too, if not better. But I might be biased because, I just feel like we're awesome. I also believe men have great qualities too. I don't know. We're pretty cool. And we have boobs. Sorry. So watch out. But no. So this is bound. Okay. So I
Acknowledging your privilege, are you?
Hey, their life source. Okay.
Exactly.
So, anyways, if I can make it weird, I'm gonna. But no, I think if I was still in a church that believed that, I did grow up thinking I wanted to be a pastor, you guys, crazy story. So I wanted to be a pastor, and I was told I couldn't be by different types of people. My family have said that to me. My grandmother, which is the one that we talked about previously. And it's been kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't know. But the church that I go to now is so uplifting in that I'm like, I don't know, bring it on. We're ready to take this on, and we're strong enough to do it. And I'm sure there's people out there that are up for it, listening and tuning in and being a part of the movement that we are, and others that aren't. And that's okay. That's one of our taglines, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, and I kind of want to push that a bit further, Aubrey, if you don't mind, because the fact that traditionally women have not had the respect to be in those roles of being pastors and church
Right.
leaders. Today, they were kind of starting to see that, and you could sometimes blame simply tradition, old
Mhm.
boys club tradition, but there are also things in the Bible itself that specifically says no to women. So how do you jive with that as a Christian yourself? And
I
wanted to be a
don't.
pastor, which I, by the way, you totally should be a pastor. I don't.
Oh, thank you. I am. This is my church, you guys. Welcome to my church. I'm speaking the good word. Y'all aren't burning.
I was going to say my equipment's going to catch fire. Stop.
The part that where you screamed gave me so much life. But I don't know. Can you ask the question one more time? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, you can say that women haven't had their fair share to
Oh, the Bible.
church leaders, but in the Bible itself, there are some passages that basically kind of says, no, you guys can't. And so how do you jive that as a Christian trying to be more progressive? And
I
Bible
say,
telling you no.
did God go to a man and say, you're going to have a baby and he's going to change the world? No. Mary did that.
Oh.
And she's the one who, that's how we got Jesus. Yes, God, in the story that God said, you're going to have a baby because I'm going to implant this baby in you, which sounds crazy. I know, I'm sorry. But I believe it. I'm sorry if that's not your thing. But that's, even if it's just fake, it is a story in which the higher power picked a woman to do this. If this higher power could have picked a man, he could have, but he didn't. He picked a woman. So tell me women can't do things in a really amazing way. And to the other stuff in the Bible that's like, y'all can't do this. I heard there's many books that didn't get put in the Bible that were written by women because certain men decided it can't be in here. So shut your mouth. Like, I don't know. I just take it with a grain of salt and say, well, me and God have conversations often throughout the day. And so far I haven't been told to sit down and shut up about that. A lot of things, yes. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if you have a problem with it, talk to God. I can't help you there.
There we go. You got a problem, go talk to the big man upstairs.
He's the one you're talking to, right? I'm
I'm
sorry.
good.
And by the way, I also don't think God is a he. So me saying he is really difficult. I'm sorry.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's part of the raising I have. So saying like they is different. Pronouns are hard sometimes.
Oh man, I love you guys. So down the road, what do you guys hope to achieve with the show? And is there so far your show doesn't really necessarily have guests and stuff like that? Do you guys plan on bringing some guests? If so, is there a particular guest you'd like to have?
So we do have fairly often we have guests. A lot of time they are just friends or people that we've come across in various going abouts of life who have a story to tell, whether it's a religious story or not. We have episodes where obviously focused on religion. Like I talk about Mormonism quite often, and we have episodes with some of my ex-Mormon family members or my active Mormon family members and friends that are still, and they share their perspective. But we also have, we have things talking about, for example, Aubrey grew up with a sister who had a terminal illness. And so she talks about what it was like as a child of a sibling who was terminally ill. And so we talk on a wide range of topics. Religion is obviously part of that discussion because it's part of who we are as people and part of our show and our goal. But our main goal as a podcast is to showcase stories and voices and humanize them in a way that people who have not always been open to hearing that point of view are now able to listen to it and perhaps change their mind and change their dogma.
And that goes for both sides. It's not just Christianity. It's like atheists have ideas about Christians, and rightfully so. So here we are to show, okay, I chose church and I'm still going to it. Then we have a bunch of people, like we have about 4 or 5 people that have come on our podcast that are still active in church. Some of those episodes have not been dropped yet, but some have. And then we have people who have been pastors and then they went to conversion therapy because they ended up coming out as gay. And they were like, oh crap, I'm gay. I got to go to conversion therapy because I'm a pastor and this is what I'm supposed to do. And then he was like, yeah, I'm just going to be gay and stop being a pastor. His story. And now he's our drag queen friend.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's get you on our show. I want to talk
Yeah.
about this. And so we showcase a transgender woman and a polyamorous, not crazy like they're crazy. It's a polyamorous couple. And oh my gosh, how fun is that, right? Like for them, not me. Like, what? It's a lot of personalities. But anyways, so yeah, it's to humanize, like Kathleen said. Let's humanize different types of lifestyles and people so that so an atheist can see a Christian and not think, what a terrible human being who's going to tell me that I'm not doing something right. And then me on the Christian side can see atheists and hear conversations like when we had David Fitzgerald on our show. It was a moment where I was like, holy crap, like I don't agree with this, but I'm not mad. And I was like, it was a moment where I was like, okay. And I got to showcase me not being mad. I'm like, okay, I don't agree, but it's okay.
Possible.
So anyways, it's been fun to be able to see the people that come out of the woodwork and they're like, I feel the same way, or that sounds crazy, but I love what y'all are doing. And it's fun. It's lighthearted. It's kind of serious at some points. And I don't know, it's just have fun and show the world we don't have to be crazy divisive.
Yeah.
It's too serious out there.
I would agree on that too. So I get Christina, you got a question? You got to jump in before you start shutting her down, or?
Well, I was going to ask how you two met, but I think you covered that.
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah.
We covered all that. So I guess if there is one message out there you want to send to your listeners, because some of our listeners hopefully will become some of your listeners as well.
Right.
What is the message you're trying to send out?
My message would be to have conversations with people who disagree with you and actually listen to them. You don't have to agree. You don't have to come to the same conclusion. Listen to why they think the way they think, and then share why you think the way you think. And then you can both move on, but you will be better for it.
And mine would be, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But mine would be to really love like Jesus and not be so uptight.
Chill out, everybody.
And that goes for me too, guys. I'm not perfect. I mean, I'm a little bit, but not fully.
Thank you so much, ladies. The show is a Christian and an atheist. Look it up.
So it's actually the Christian and the atheist. You're okay.
The Christian and the atheist. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and basically anywhere else you can find a podcast. We are there.
Yep.
Fantastic. Excellent. Ladies, before I let you go, I got to have you say, hi, this is Kathleen and Aubrey, and we took a left at the valley.
Okay, I'll say, hi, this is Aubrey. And I'll say, we took a left at the valley. We are great at this, by the way.
We're terrible at this.
So I'll say my name, you say yours.
Okay.
And then I'll say the valley.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Kathleen.
And we took a left at the valley.
Fantastic.
Is that right? Is that right?